As you know, at the Parliament, we currently have the National ID card law, as well as the Cabinet also passed the Data Protection Act, which are foundational legal frameworks for establishing a country's systems and mechanisms for providing services to the most vulnerable groups in terms of social safety nets and other programs that will help us to not only document and take stock of the Somali people and their varied needs arising from shocks or arising from the geographic and demographic realities in which they live, from the coast to the inter-riverine place, from all the way Somaliland, Puntland to Jubaland. Different conditions and different realities create vulnerabilities and food shortage, and we're trying to systematically address these issues through a set of integrated policies, from food security to water policy and programs, to livelihoods and productive sector-focused activities. Of course, I think the World Food Programme should be in agreement with us that we must do business differently now. We must try to serve the Somali people in a manner that is totally different from the past because of the increased anticipated accessibility to more members of the Somali community, because of the increased demands from the government by the public to provide services and opportunities. As you know, the Somali population is primarily a very young population. About 70% of the Somali population are youth. About over 70% of them are unemployed. And we must take stock of the realities that create these vulnerabilities. I understand human capital and social protection are joined at the hip, as you all frame it. So we must ensure, to give an example, a young Somali mother, probably that has about 3 to 4 kids, and is unable to engage in productive activity, needs to have access to basic income, at least, or support in those initial years as the children try to grow and attain skills and get the right nutrition, go to school, perhaps get some skill set in Tibet programming and whatnot, and then become a productive member of community. Because one does not just become, join the workforce out of nowhere. It needs a whole host of educational, social policy, occupational and employment policies combined that are helping in improving the human capabilities of the Somali society, the individuals, the household, and the communities. Our priorities as a government in the coming years is, number one, liberation, to finish the war against Al-Shabaab for once and all. But that does not end with that. After that, a top priority for us is stabilization and bringing services to the people at the lowest level possible, the district, the towns, and the villages. We are very much aware that currently, as you all know, the World Food Programme knows better this, that we have at least half of the Somali population, close to half of the Somali population, that are on the edge of a famine, that are going through droughts. We haven't had enough rains at least for the last 6 rainy seasons. Climate change, Somalia is at the front line of climate change. Therefore, our new approach, as you would see in the NDP, is to focus more on resilience programming and less on reactive and immediate emergency responses. I don't want to dwell on the different aspects of the NDP. I'm sure you're familiar with it, but we sure want to align all our partners' activities with our priorities. Stabilization, social protection, a social protection that is clearly linked to the productive sector, social safety nets, that enable people to become more productive and become more resilient. Those are our priorities. We intend, the president has announced that there is going to be a Vision 2060. It is a long-term vision. And the intention is to move Somalia away from a humanitarian aid-dependent country to a more stable one, and then one that seeks a more nuanced developmental objectives. In order to do that, we really need the partnership of our partners,